A good nev Shabbos, Parshas Vayakheil, Parshas Shkolim. Ramban in this week's Parsha, Kol Isha Shenesoi Liboy, to be Toirem, to the Mishkan, to the Avodas HaMishkan, says the Ramban. Kol Isha Shenesoi Liboy talks about the people who came to actually do the work and trying to create the different Kalim and the Mishkan itself. Why? Because indeed none of them were professionals in any of these works. None of them knew how to make Kalim, how to make a Mishkan, how to build. However, Kol Isha Shenesoi Liboy, says the Ramban, they came and they said, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do, that's what we will do. And once they understood that responsibility, and once they accepted that responsibility, they were given the koiches to do exactly that. The Gemara in Horayos tells us that if people end up in a situation where both a melech b'Yisrael, a king, and a chacham b'Yisrael get kidnapped, and the kehillah Klal Yisrael only has enough money to be poida to save one of them, they should save the chacham. And the Gemara says why? Not because of chashivus, but because the melech, Kol Yisrael ro lemalchus. Each and every one of Klal Yisrael is ro to be a melech al Yisrael. And of course we have to understand this because the Gemara in Shabbos tells us that the leiv melachim of Klal Yisrael, the uimek halev, the depth of the machshava that a melech b'Yisrael has, is something that if you would take together all the yamim in the world and create diyoi, create ink, and use all the kolmusim, use all the pens in the world, you would not be able to write down the incredible levels of depth that the melech b'Yisrael has to have to constantly be able to think about how to take care of Klal Yisrael. Yet the Gemara in Horayos tells us, Kol Yisrael ro lemalchus. Each and every one of us is road to malchus. To what we have to say is that of course the Gemara in Shabbos is 100% true. The level of a melech, the leiv of a melech is something that we cannot comprehend. But at the same time, every one of Klal Yisrael, if we would be given that mantle of Malchus, if we would be given that responsibility, somehow we would have the koyach to do exactly that. Somehow we will find it within ourselves to have that incredible depth. The Gemara tells us a story. Someone came to one of the Tanoim and said, I had a dream. In my dream, I saw a koichav, a star, and I saw that I destroyed it. And the Gemara tells us that this Tana told him, this means that you stole a Ben Yisrael, you kidnapped a Ben Yisrael. And then in the end, the Gemara tells us, he had another dream and it tells him that he sold this Ben Yisrael. The point here is, the Gemara tells us a story where this Tana knew immediately, if you tell me that you saw a koichav, you saw Yisrael, each and every one of us is a koichav. In a dream that is shown to a goy, we're a koichav. Each and every one of us has these incredible powers. The Nefesh HaChaim tells us, B'tselem Elokim Aseh Adam, what an incredible Lashon HaKadosh Baruch Hu made us in the image of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does that mean? The Nefesh HaChaim tells us it means, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Boine U'machriv Oilamois, he builds and destroys worlds, so too each and every one of us has that power to build and destroy worlds. We see in the mitzvah of Shkolim the same idea, how each and every one of us in Klal Yisrael has the obligation to give the machzis hashekel, which together is the foundation of all the karbonos and all the avodas in the Mishkan and in the Beis HaMikdash. On the other hand, we live in a time where incredible things are happening around the world. People from all corners of the world are trying to figure out what is happening. Does this mean Mashiach is coming? People are bringing Mekoros from different Sfarim with different ideas. But I would like to bring it into the Parsha. I would like to bring it into this idea of the Ramban. Kol ish asher nesoi liboy. Chazal tell us, B'shvili nivra oilam. What does it mean, B'shvili nivra oilam? Chas v'shalom, for a person to think, B'shvili nivra oilam, for me to sit back on the couch and relax. Just the opposite. B'shvili nivra oilam, the entire world, everything that happens in this world is here to wake us up. Not to wake us up and think, yes, the world should wake up. But no, I should wake up. There was a story with the Chafetz Chaim. One of the Talmidim, one of the Mekurovim, went on a trip to Asia. When he came back, he came in and the Chafetz Chaim asked him how the trip was. He said, okay, Baruch Hashem. So the Chafetz Chaim asked him, but what happened there? So this fellow, he didn't know what Chafetz Chaim wants. He said, yeah, I saw there was a kehillah, they have a shul, they have some shurim, they're working on kashrus. Chafetz Chaim said, I want to know what's happening in Asia. Don't tell me about the kehillah. So, okay, fine. If the Chafetz Chaim, Rabban Shel Kol Bnei HaGoyim, wants to know what's happening, so he told him, it happens to be when I was there was an earthquake. Terrible earthquake happened. And the Chafetz Chaim said, how could you withhold that from me? Such important information. So he said, I don't understand. How is an earthquake in Asia relevant to the Chafetz Chaim in Radin? So Chafetz Chaim said, what do you mean? B'shvili nivra oilam. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to send me a message, he starts off in Asia. First the earthquake happens there. If I don't hear the message, if I don't understand the message, the earthquake will happen here in Radin. B'shvili nivra oilam. To understand that when something incredible like this happens, whether we have to go into a mode of putting on Big Day Shabbos for Mashiach or not, that I'll leave to others. But of course we have to use it and understand that it's a call to us to wake up. We've been put into a galus that constantly makes us think there is some type of a rhythm, that everything has some type of a level of normalcy. Oilam kemin hagay noyeg. It's a time of incredible darkness, not because necessarily of tsaris and Klal in Yisrael, which unfortunately there is enough, but rather because it's a time where everything around us makes us think that this is the way it should be. Everything feels right. It's okay. But now for the last few years, and more HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us this is not the way it should be. You're in Golus. Remember, everything, Leiv Melachim V'Sarim B'Yad Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making all of this happen in order for us to wake up, for us to understand that we have an avodah in this world, for us to understand that we have incredible koiches. And all we need to do is take the responsibility, put on that mantle of malchus, and we will realize and recognize and internalize these koiches. Because if we don't, what is it worth? Reb Yankele tells us there was a story in the beginning of the 20th century when people from all over Europe came together to celebrate the entry into the 20th century. And all of them brought along different inventions that they were coming up with. But from all the inventions, one invention was the most looked upon, the most talked about. It was an incredible closet with numerous hidden shelves and drawers and spots where people can keep their money and diamonds and jewelry and so forth and so forth. And the inventor of this closet was given a gold medal, and it was sold for many thousands of dollars, or whatever the currency was, to a very wealthy person. But as the years went on, this person lost all of his money, and eventually this closet ended up being sold at auction, and eventually after many cycles it ended up in a simple shoemaker's store in Italy. At that point, no one really recognized the hidden shelves, the hidden drawers. One of the legs of the closet was already broken. So this shoemaker just used it to keep some old leather and some threads and some nails. Another shelf in the store. One day, the inventor of this closet was in Italy, and his shoe needed some fixing. So he goes into the shoemaker, he takes off his shoe, and he turns around and he sees his closet sitting there on the side, worthless, without recognition, and he faints. That's what we look like when we don't realize and recognize what we have. When we are not mekayem liboy, when we don't realize the incredible koiches that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given each and every one of us. Tzelem Elikim, Leiv Malchus. Each and every one of Yisrael is Rol Malchus. We can all do it if we just recognize it. But of course, in order to recognize it, in order not to fall back, we need to have an incredible level of simcha, of appreciation of what we have. Simcha is the only key. It's the key that holds everything. In order for us to appreciate what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us, we can only do that when we are b'simcha, when we spread simcha, when we understand the clarity, the ein simcha kataras asfeikis, the clarity that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us koiches to do powerful and great things. And with that simcha, and with the simcha to the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is speaking to us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending us messages even now, today, Tafshi and Pei Beis, in a cold winter. Hashem is sending us messages because He's waiting for us. What an incredible source of simcha that itself should be. And when we have that simcha, and when we come around to a Shabbos, which is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the ois, the sign of connection that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us, not a day of rest, but His day of rest. What an incredible level of simcha people and we all must reach, and with that open up our toolkit, open up our abilities, recognize our talents, and bring the world to its ultimate tikkun and prepare ourselves for Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mheira V'yameinu Amen. Thank you. Have a wonderful Shabbos.